What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Fantasy Alarm Sports Talk. I'm your host, Howard Bender. With me today here on Thursday, Jen Piacenti. Jen, what's going on? How you doing? Coming off a good table that discussion yesterday. Getting ready to
Yeah,
dive into so many sports, right?
so many sports.
Well,
It's like
you watched
like
NASCAR
Major League
from
Soccer is
Martinsville,
coming
right?
back. I didn't. I'm so sorry. And I understand I missed out on a big payday if I had just followed my colleague's advice, which for some reason I didn't. I decided to be lazy and do nothing last night. It was
I
sad.
did the same. I did not play NASCAR last night, and lo and behold, yes, that's when Matt Sells is at his finest. Basically, when I'm not playing. So I might just have to sit the rest of the NASCAR season out just for the love of FA Nation, to say the least. How about the MLB Draft? Did you dive in at all into that? I
Not
kind of
really
glossed over it, knowing
peeked
that.
at it. Same thing.
Yeah.
Peeked at it like 5 rounds, and as an Astros fan, we didn't get any picks for those rounds. So, yeah, I just glanced at it. I should be more interested, but I'm just feeling a little turned off by MLB in general right now.
I agree with that. I don't know what's worse, not having that first round pick or watching the New York Yankees blow their first pick with a non good defensive catcher. He's not good defensively. He gets on base, which is nice. He's got good plate discipline, or at least he showed it in at the high school and I believe the collegiate level. He was in the Cape Cod League. Other than that, I'm sorry, but if you can't frame pitches, you don't have a good arm to second, what do I want you for?
Yeah, I don't know.
Exactly.
You already got, yeah.
Exactly. So I'll cover all that in a lot more detail. Here's a fun fact, though, about the draft. The guy that the Mets took, Pete Crow Armstrong,
Mm-hmm.
all right? Good, solid baseball connection in that family there. If you don't know who he is, his mom actually played the mother in Little Big League, the movie about the Minnesota Twins
Really?
kid who inherited the team from his grandpa.
That's so cool. Yeah, and actually, that kid looks like a real center fielder, which is something the Mets could use. So, let's see what happens. That's hilarious and awesome.
Right. So a little fun fact there. All right. Well, while we wait for basketball to get started, and oh baby, basketball, that's coming up at the end of July. July 30th, I think, is the start date there. NHL training camps for the playoff format that they have, that's opening up, I believe, July 10th. So we're going to wait to see what happens there. So again, football drives the bus, Jen. It
Yep.
drives the bus.
Football was king before, but now I think it's actually emperor. I don't know any other way to put it.
It probably, yeah. Emperor's pretty good on that, right? I mean, what else are we looking at here? I mean, it's kind of funny, we're like sitting here and we're trying to analyze, and we talked on the round table on Sirius XM radio. We talked about the possible holdout of Dalvin Cook, who
Yeah.
you look a little deeper into it, the dude just has no leverage. I mean, he still might, but he doesn't have any leverage to make this really happen. But aside from that and the overreaction that comes with it, it's really tough to kind of get a feel for a lot of these guys. Are you buying into the whole, this guy's working out with this guy, like Julian Edelman, he's working out with Jared Stidham.
Right.
Are you buying into the hype that goes with those?
No, not yet. I mean, who knows? Who knows how much they're working out, how able they are to really work out. I mean, Baker Mayfield had all his, new teammates down to Austin, and they worked out. Austin Hooper's been playing. It's no, I don't. I'm not buying into it yet. It's way too early. I'm not making a lot of decisions based on those rumors that are going around. Who's in shape, who's not in shape. We're just not going to know. We're not going to know until they get into camps.
So where are you at with sports right now? I mean, are you just are you dreading like doing these live streams? Are you dreading like doing the roundtables because it's like there's just so like we're sitting here literally trying to build mountains out of molehills?
Do I dread them? No, because I get to talk to you guys, and it actually always ends up feeling positive when it's over. But trying to find things to talk about does get, old, because how many more times can you talk about who has the best logo Or, in theory, if we have these new rules, how would we change our strategies? Until we have some rules, it's really hard to talk about it. So how many times can you? But that being said, I do think there's a community here of all of us that want sports back, and it's still fun. I still enjoy doing the live streams. I'm getting really annoyed with MLB, and I'm really excited that we released the draft guide this week, because that does feel fun, like something to talk about. And at least I can just, all that nerdiness I put into MLB, looking up stats, I'm just going to start being an NFL nerd, you guys. So I'm going to get out my nerd glasses, and that's what I'm going to do until I get a little baseball back. And I guess we will get some baseball. It might be 48 games, but we'll get some baseball. I guess it's just a matter of how nice I'll feel about baseball.
Right? Exactly. It's kind of funny. You and I are sitting here. We're doing the this Sirius XM combined baseball football draft, which, I mean, it's just, we're 2 rounds in, and it's a slow draft. But, one of the things that I had suggested was, why don't we do, 2020 football and then pick it right up so that we could do 2021 baseball. So at least get the idea of having a full season there and maybe evening it out. But what's your strategy doing a combined baseball football when you've got possibly just 50 games of baseball to play with?
Right. So that's a great question, and something I've been grappling with. So we went around the first round, and there was only one MLB player taken. I was at pick 9, and it was Ronald Acuna. I got to pick 9, and I was like, you know what? I got to take the best football player available, because, look, I don't know that I can count on anything in MLB. So, yeah, I want to win my MLB season, even if it's only 50 games, but I could have a full season. So I took Michael Thomas, which is a great snag at pick 9. And then it came back around, and I was like, well, I really should get a running back. But all the really top running backs were gone. And then Christian Yelich is still on the board. So I'm like, well, I got to go Christian Yelich. But did I? I don't know. Maybe I could have waited and just gotten Trevor Story. It would have been the same in a shortened season. I don't know. But it seemed like everybody was doing that football pick first, and there was just so much talent in baseball. I don't know what we're going to do. It's a gamble. This is, doing it this way. What's interesting is it really just, it puts the super luck portion of MLB up against a more strategic portion of NFL. So whoever's the champion of this, I still think they probably won it with mostly luck.
Yeah, I agree. I have this. So I had second pick overall. Saquon Barkley was a no-brainer for me, especially considering the state of MLB. It came all the way back around to me for the second round, and I was like, I was like, all right, so, you had taken Yelich, Trout went to Scott Engel in the first round, and Acuna went to Rob Tuesday. So I was like, all right, well, I could sit here. It's funny you say Trevor Story, because I was actually like, do I go for Trevor Story here? I know I could go for Cody Bellinger, and maybe that'll just kind of, give me that power boost, because I think elite bats are the way to go. And I was kind of wavering back and forth, and I was like, give me DeAndre Hopkins. I can't believe he's still available to me right now. And do that, but coming back around for the third round. So GM Steve Phillips, he's picking first, so he's on the wheel right now. And so the question is, who does he end up taking? And I can't see him taking 2 baseball guys. So I feel like it's coming down to either Bellinger or Trevor Story for me. I don't even want to go with Mookie Betts with the Dodgers right now.
Yeah. I think Trevor Story's the pick. I hate that I just, said that and couldn't steal him for myself. But the truth is, I have to go more. I have to try to find a running back or a quarterback this round anyway for my next pick. So Trevor Story is probably not going to be there, because now I don't have a running back, right? I don't have one of these bell cow running backs. What am I going to do? I don't know. It's a 2 quarterback league, adding further complication. How early do you take a quarterback when you're also drafting a baseball team? The reason I didn't want to take Mike Trout, and I was actually glad he was gone, is I don't know. Mike Trout seems to me like one of the people that might say, screw you, I'm not playing 50 games. I'm going to make plenty of money and I don't want to risk it. So I wasn't going to take Mike Trout no matter what. I had made that decision. So, but Christian Yelich, I think, is the kind of person that will play no matter what. I think he made even more adjustments to his swing. If you've been following his Twitter account, I think that he's just fantastic, and he's going to give me all the categories. So fine. But now I got to figure out how to build it. It's tricky, guys. It's kind of a fun idea. But it's going to take a lot of time to complete this draft.
It's going to take an immense amount of time because we're doing it on a Google Doc, like a bunch of old timers here. I'm so glad that you just mentioned that it was a 2 QB league because
You didn't realize that?
I forgot it was a 2 QB league. I mean, listen,
Man, I'm helping you out. I'm giving you Trevor Story, giving you the second
Story was almost my second round pick
That's
here.
True.
So that doesn't count. But yeah, I was like, okay, Lamar Jackson went off the board, Pat Mahomes went off the board. And then you look at a guy like Kyler Murray who went the pick right before me. Mm-hmm. I'm like, yeah, okay, but do I really think that people are going to go, over these next 2 rounds? Like if I don't take a QB here, and let's say I go for a baseball player, I go for Story or I go for Bellinger, and then it comes back around. Am I really that concerned that all the QBs are going to be snatched up at that point? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would hate to have Matthew Stafford sitting on my roster.
That would be the worst. That would just be the worst.
He's my least favorite player to talk about.
Really?
He really is. Like,
is it because he was on pace for a 5,000-yard season last year, and then he only played 9 games?
Yes, because you can't sit there and say that you can't prorate stats. You can't do it.
But he had a season like that previously. 2014,
previously, I mean, when did he have it?
He can do it.
He had 5,000. Yeah, back in 2011.
11.
Yeah, in 2011 he did. But if you look, after that season, I mean, the attempts have all gone down. His passing attempts. You've got Matt Patricia and Darrell Bevell, who both want to do a run first scheme. They grabbed DeAndre Swift, but you know what it is? It's not that. It's the whole thing that, well, he was on pace for 5,000 yards and 38 touchdowns. You can't do that. Like, does nobody learn their lesson from, you remember Trey Turner, right? Trey Turner gets called up. He's dominant, right? He's stealing bases. He's hitting home runs. And then that following season, everyone's like, it's a no-brainer first-round draft pick. This dude's going to hit 30 home runs. He's going to steal 70 bases. Look at what he did last year. Prorate his numbers from the year before and see what he did. You can't do that. You don't know what's going to happen here. Maybe Matt Stafford wakes up with the flu. Maybe maybe defenses make the necessary adjustments to shut him down. Like, to me, there's so much that can happen in an 8-game span that you can't tell me that he was going to throw for 5,000 yards.
Well, maybe he wasn't, but the point is that he was really, really good for the 9 games that he did play. I don't think anybody's actually expecting him to throw for, his average yards per reception were like 11.4. Like, he was really good in those 9 games. So the point of Matt Stafford is that not that he should be a top 5 quarterback, but that you can probably wait and get some good value later, just like you could with Big Ben. I think that basically what's happening now is we're getting over, we were trying to make up content, and like some of these drums have gotten beaten way too loud because we need stuff to talk about. I mean, please don't misunderstand. Matt Stafford is not like the greatest quarterback of all time. He's just someone that, like, oh, there's something there. Just like, we didn't see Big Ben last year at all, but we think there's something there and they could be a really real value. So, Matt Stafford isn't necessarily a target. Maybe you'd rather have Matt Ryan later. Maybe you'd rather have Drew Brees. Maybe not. I'm with you. I know what you're saying, but this is just more about like having conversation. I don't think anybody really thinks Matt Stafford's going to throw for 5,000 yards.
Are you kidding me? Do you know how many analysts out there continuously say, look at what he did last year and prorate those numbers to a full season? There are so many analysts out there who are doing that guess what? Guess who Bob from accounting's listening to? Yep, that's right. Bob from accounting is listening, and he's like, oh my God, this guy said prorate his numbers. Oh my God, this guy said this, and it's mind-numbing to me that nobody learns their lesson that you can't do that. You can't do, like, Trey Turner the following year after everybody was saying, just 30 home runs, 70 stolen bases. What did he do? He wasn't garbage, but for where you took him in the first round, he was garbage. And he
Well,
missed a
that's how
whole
I
bunch
feel
of
about
time.
Fernando Tatis. The same thing. Like he's never. I mean, how often has he played a full season? And people want to prorate his stats across the whole thing. Plus, he was just on a pace that was just not sustainable. It's just not sustainable. So the same way about. I mean, I get it. I'm just saying that when you're searching for value and you're arguing, should you take a quarterback? Because quarterbacks are going so early now because people want Mahomes, they want Murray, they want Jackson, they want them in the second round sometimes in one quarterback leagues, that I think the point of the conversation is that, look, you can still wait and win your league. You still have people like Matt Stafford, Big Ben, maybe even Matt Ryan, depending, that you can grab and still win your league. So I think maybe it's just gotten blown out of proportion. I don't think anyone actually thinks Matt Stafford is the greatest quarterback.
I'll bet you there are people who think
really
that. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. You take the casual fan who just kind of, hears it offhand, oh my God, you see Matt Stafford's ADP is so low, blah, blah, blah. Look at what he did last year. It was crazy. He was on pace for 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns. Like that's all they hone in on that. And they hear that and they're like, wow, sick value. And look at what he was doing last year. Boop, there it is.
Well, he's got the same receivers. He's not going to have to work with anybody new. So I think he could have a really good year still. I don't think he's going to throw for 5,000 yards, but they added a weapon for him. So, I mean, there's a lot of good reasons to pick Matt Stafford. So I'm still going to draft him sometimes if I can wait and get him instead of taking Lamar Jackson in the first round, because that's the way I'm going to do a lot of my leagues. But you're right.
I'm not taking Lamar Jackson in the first round either.
Yeah. I've
done 2 QB leagues also. Like I've done drafts where I made that move for like a Russell Wilson or Kyler Murray or Deshaun Watson, and then watch as like nobody starts taking QBs. I'm like, well, see, there you go. I probably could have sat and waited. I probably could have waited and grabbed another running back there or a wide receiver. So
I don't know. I think it drops off after Watson and Wilson, and then I think and Allen now. I think Allen's actually been bumped up to that tier, and then people kind of wait. So I think what happens is you do panic. So who would you get? So let's say you did get Russell Wilson. Who would be your second quarterback? How late would you wait? Like who would you take a gamble on if it was a 2 QB league?
Well, I mean, again, it depends on how they're flying off the board. Because now I've seen them fly off the board like crazy. Where I will be like, all right, let me grab Russell Wilson, and then 2 rounds later, I'm investing in Matt Ryan. I mean, if people aren't jumping all over the QB position, and I take Russell Wilson, in like the 4th round, say, then I'd probably end up sitting there waiting until the 10th or 11th round to grab that second QB. And then maybe just kind of go a little quicker on my 3rd guy in order to make that happen. Because again, when you're dealing with a 2 QB league, I don't even think it's super flex. I think it's a 2 QB league. You're going to have 3. Wow, look at the size of that.
Whoa.
That thing's massive.
Texas size.
Get out of here. That's going to carry off a small child. That's going to carry off me. Holy cow. Go away. That's insane. Where's my hat? Where's something? Get out of here. Get out of here. This is how a live stream goes viral. It's like analyst attacked by large B. Damn. Unbelievable.
Murder hornet. It's not a murder hornet, is it?
It's totally a murder hornet. It's a murder hornet. Get out of here. And I leave the spiders alone in the shed to take care of this sort of a thing. This dude's
on the job.
I'm gonna end up getting murdered right here in the middle of this live stream. You guys, you're catching it here
I
first.
can take over, no problem. Me and Sel's got this. I'm gonna tell everyone to buy Matt Stafford.
This thing's like he's like right in front of me. Oh! I think that got him.
He's gone.
Yeah. Get here.
Edge defender. Howard Watt.
This is abusive. Let me know if he creeps up on me, right? He's like coming over my shoulder here.
No, you're good so far. I think you got him.
Right? Defenseless baby. Go get it.
Howard versus the murder hornet.
Unbelievable.
Howard 1, murder hornet 0.
Wow, right? This is gonna be like I'm Macaulay Culkin in My Girl now.
Oh no, that's such a sad movie.
See, there you go. All right. Well, let's get off of the Matt Stafford talk here
Yeah.
and the two QB talk. Let's talk a couple of wide receivers. I mean, I could talk two QBs, but I'm
No,
about to
you're
get
good.
killed.
Do you hear it?
Do I hear it? I see it.
I don't see it.
He's like
Okay.
hovering over my head. He's like, dude, I'm gonna get you on the scalp. What I did really want to talk about today, though, were second year and third year wideouts. Like we go banana cakes over the depth of the wide receiver position. It's crazy deep right now. B, you've got all of these wide receivers that everybody loves: Judy, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Pittman, Brandon Ayuk. You can even go down a little further. Besides Henry Ruggs and Laviska Shenault, everybody's on these guys in a major way. The thing about it is, though, is that what happened to last year's darlings and the year before? Who are those guys that we're looking at? So I organized them a little bit as we were gearing up for this. Players who shine bright in their first year, and we expect them to continue to shine. Marquise Brown, Deebo Samuel, A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, Deontay Johnson, Terry McLaurin, and Hunter Renfrow. Mm-hmm. All had, great moments, and we expect them to build off of that. Nikhil Harry, Mecole Hardman, Paris Campbell, Andy Isabella, Jalen Hurd, Miles Boykin, Hakeem Butler. These are the guys who kind of disappointed. And, it's interesting. You look at, the Colts. They had Paris Campbell last year. Right. Now they pick up Michael Pittman. You get the Cardinals, who make that trade for DeAndre Hopkins. They already had Christian Kirk. And now it's like, what do we do with Andy Isabella or Hakeem Butler? These guys are buried on the depth chart now. Mm-hmm. Do you go for any of these guys? Is there any hope for some of these former rookies from last year, some second-year wideouts, who you look at and say, I might be able to sneak these guys in, and they could be productive?
Yeah, for me, Mecole Hardman is someone that I would sneak in that could be productive because he's just one injury away from getting a lot more targets, as we've already seen. And besides that, he saw at least 30 targets for 13.1 yards per target. So that's pretty good for a rookie. I think Campbell's one that you could consider very, very late because he's going to get the slot role all to himself. He's going to getting an upgrade with Phillip Rivers. Again, these are people we're talking about, get them way late rounds. There's no one here I'm targeting. Andy Isabella, no way. He and Hakeem Butler, I don't really see that happening. I know that they said that they're fine. That's why they didn't draft any wide receivers. Well, duh. That's why we didn't draft any new wide receivers. For Jalen Hurd, no, they went and got Brandon Ayuk. Deebo Samuel really emerged last year. I don't see it happening. Miles Boykin, he's on a team where they don't throw the ball. I mean, Maybe they'll throw the ball a little bit more, but it's probably not going to go to Miles Boykin. He was targeted only 22 times last season. Maybe. Again, sure, you could take a dart throw at any of these guys late, but none of them are ones I would target. Maybe Mecole Hardman, as I said, and maybe Paris Campbell. Those are the two that I would say, all right, let's go ahead and take a little bit of shot on these two guys. How do you feel?
Very similarly, actually. I think, Nikhil Harry might be an intriguing option just because really who else do the Patriots have? You've got Julian Edelman on one side, who may or may not work in and out of the slot. And then there's really, Mohamed Sanu, who's basically, Julian Edelman. I mean, the two of them play a very similar game. They play very similar roles. So you have one on the outside, one in the slot for three wide receiver sets. But then, who's on the outside on the other side of the field? And that would be Nikhil Harry. So hopefully Nikhil Harry can take that step forward. I mean, Belichick, I think he surprised a lot of people. I think a lot of people were looking at it. Actually, it's kind of funny. I think it was Hakeem Butler, who everybody thought that the Patriots would take at the tail end of that first round. And when, Nikhil Harry went, people were like, ooh.
They really like him. Yeah.
So that's an intriguing one that I might have. Mecole Hardman, for me, it's tough because, you got Tyreek Hill, and you've got Travis Kelce. And while Sammy Watkins restructured his contract to make it a little bit more team friendly, they're still paying Sammy a bunch of money as well. So, Hardman, I wonder just really what the target share is going to end up being on that team. So that's my only pullback from him.
Right.
Not a Paris Campbell fan. I love Michael Pittman.
I love Michael Pittman too.
Not a Campbell fan.
Yeah. I just think he's the only other one that might. And again, late. I'm actually not really looking at any of these guys, to be honest. None of these guys are really on my radar. I'm looking more in the lines of like an Anthony Miller, someone like that.
So third year wideouts. Yeah, do you buy that? Do you buy that myth? Remember when you first started playing fantasy baseball, and it was like you got to get the guys who are age 27. That's the magic year, age 27. And it was really just it was about a player's physical prime, and it started getting lower and lower. Third year wide receiver. That's the is it a fantasy football myth, or do you buy into it? I look at a Calvin Ridley and I say, I'm all in. That's the breakout there. Anthony Miller's a guy who I look at as well. But then when you're looking at other third-year wideouts, James Washington already seems to be getting leapfrogged by Deontay Johnson. What about Christian Kirk? Is he gonna? Kirk? Could he make a splash?
No, I don't think so. They don't have the room for him. Like, he's not gonna get a lot of targets. Larry Fitzgerald's still there. I mean, they've got DeAndre Hopkins. Like, no, I don't think so. I don't think he's going to be any better in his third year than his second year. It's not like he's suddenly going to break out. It's possible, but I'm not going to go drafting him based on the fact that he's in his third year.
What about one of the DJs? You got DJ Chark and you got DJ Moore.
DJ Chark, maybe. But that has a little bit to do with his quarterback also maybe getting better and not having a lot of competition. I think DJ Chark could become more consistent. And that's what he did. And he was a little bit injured last year, right? I mean, they say they're going to play him all over the formation, even give him some slot chances. I think he's kind of boomer bust, but I think that DJ Chark is someone I'm interested in. DJ Moore, I'm not sure that he can get much better. He had a good year last year. I'm not sure he can get much better now that they've added Robbie Anderson and they've switched to Teddy Bridgewater. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, that's the interesting one there.
So, is he going to be good? Yeah, I think so. But are we going to suddenly say this is his breakout? Last year was probably his breakout season for his career. Who knows?
We talked to Anthony Miller. Cortland Sutton's another guy. What about your boy on the Cowboys, Michael Gallop?
Again, Michael Gallop, so talented, right? But then they went out and got CeeDee Lamb. So as far as having an ability to really break out, it's probably going to take an injury to another player for him to have what you would label a breakout season. You could call last year a breakout season. I mean, he had 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns through 14 games. And I believe he had more yards per game than Cooper, I believe. So, they ended up being about the same in a lot of ways, depending on how you measure it. So I don't know how much more of a breakout he can have if you throw in CeeDee Lamb.
All right. Anybody that I'm missing, wide receivers that you kind of got your eye on that you think people need to be paying attention to, second or third year guys at all?
Second or third year guys, Deontay Johnson, which we already talked about. I think everybody's already got their eye on Deontay Johnson. You talked about Calvin Ridley. I think we have to be careful with Cortland Sutton. I think he's really good, but I think last year probably was that breakout year because now they have just so many weapons. Again, could be wrong, very talented, but last year he was really the only one getting the targets. Now he's going to share with Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, Noah Fant's emerging. Melvin Gordon's there now. I mean, so just the target share for Cortland Sutton you have to be careful about. I do think Hollywood Brown could have a better year this year. Now, I know that they only threw the ball 439 times last season, but they say they're going to do it more. And Lamar Jackson likes Marquise Brown. He also dealt with some injury. I mean, he played only 14 games and he still finished as a top 50 fantasy receiver. So I think he's someone that could take a step forward that I'm interested in.
Hollywood. Indeed, indeed. It's going to be very interesting to see what Baltimore does with that offense if they are
Yeah.
true to their word. Because you got to figure when it all comes down to it, you got to go with the instincts of Lamar Jackson, and that's the
Hmm.
quarterback he is. And if the situation doesn't look right, is he better off forcing the throw, or is he better off just running and taking care of it on his own? Which I think is where he'll probably lean more often than not. It's
I think so.
tough to switch these guys out of their usual style.
Yeah, I agree. I know they say they're going to run him less, but when the pressure's on, he's going to do what he needs to do to move the chains. Like I just don't see it. Yeah, I think he's still going to be running.
I think he's going to still be running too. Oh well, we didn't get him. Who got him in the? It was Rick Kamla. Got him in that
Yeah,
draft that we were doing. Surprising
yeah,
that Scott Engel did not take Pat Mahomes and took Mike Trout instead.
yeah. He told me that he was actually debating what to do because I he's right next to me and he's like, "It's you're up," and I was like, I told him who I picked, and he said, "Yeah, I had the same debate with whether to take the best MLB player or keep building my NFL roster." So this is a tricky one. I don't know that there is a strategy in this weird MLB season. I think it'd be easier to develop a strategy if we were having 2 full seasons.
If we were having 2 full seasons, yes, I definitely think so. You might even think that you would have to put slightly heavier weight on baseball just for the sheer number of games in a full season.
Yeah,
17 weeks of football versus 162 game season for baseball. So I think that I would normally put that, a little bit more weight on baseball because it would be harder to acquire those guys. 50 game season,
anybody can get hot. Anybody can win. Any pitcher can win the Cy Young. Like it could be anybody. It could be freaking, you Darvish. Definitely, he would be a great candidate for the Cy Young this year in 50 games. Like,
well, they're all
who
making what?
knows?
They're all making 10 starts.
Yeah, in 10 starts, anybody's going to
Ooh.
be really good. A lot of them are going to be really, really good. So
MLB, thank you so much for disappointing us. Thank you so much for being such greedy bastards. Unbelievable.
and
Unbelievable.
it really is it is too bad that people who aren't as aware of the situation really do blame the owners. I'm sorry, blame the players and not the owners, and are saying things like, well, if those greedy players don't want to take the money, they should just give the contract to the minor league players. That's how we solve it. It's just the perception. It's just
Those same people are drafting Matthew Stafford in the 8th round, thinking this guy's going to throw for 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns. I think that's the perfect time to end this right now. So there you go. I still hear the bee buzzing somewhere. So if I'm
go
not
get it.
around tomorrow, come 3 p.m. for Table That Discussion, you guys know to send help. I'm dead in the shed. That's going to do it for us here at Fantasy Alarm Sports Talk. Big thanks to Matt Sells, our producer, for always doing a great job. For Jen Piacenti, I'm Howard Bender. We'll catch you next time.